All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be on the Great Eastern Cutlery number 25 Beerlow in BarGlow acrylic. But as you might see here, this is the first Boss Steel Blades exclusive Knife Thoughts video. So Boss Steel Blades is a knife dealer that sells a lot of great knives. I met Joel of Boss Steel Blades at the Great Eastern Cutlery Rendezvous a couple years ago and have stayed in touch. And recently he reached out to see if I would be interested in doing some exclusive videos for the Boss Steel Blades YouTube channel. So this is the first of those, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of a new type of video on this knife. I'm going to include both a really quick unboxing with very, just top level first impressions, and then also a more long-term review after I've used the knife and gotten to know it a little bit more. So here is the box. You can see the Boss Steel Blade sticker there, and I'm going to be using a knife that I have from Boss Steel Blades. This is the Anza Skinner. I actually used this year on the first deer that I got in hunting season, and unfortunately the area where I live in is a CWD area, so you have to get your, well, you don't have to, but I get my deer tested for CWD. And so I use a knife and then kind of put it away and don't clean it or anything until I know that the deer didn't have CWD. I've never had a deer test positive for CWD, and thankfully mine this year didn't either, so I can use the knife, but it does have a little bit of rust on it. So let's get right into this here. I don't want to delay too much. Again, this is a GEC number 25 Beerlow. I love BarLows, and this is a BarLow with a bottle opener, so that doesn't hurt at all. And this knife worked really well for skinning that deer. Works pretty well for box openings also. And here we go. So first of all, got a couple stickers. These Boss Steel Blade stickers are cool. You got the crossed knives on there, and also Joel has lots of like swag, like shirts, and I've got some socks from Boss Steel Blades that I really like, and hats and things like that, so you can check those out, other merchandise. But here is the knife. You can see, thank you for your purchase, please remember to keep your knife oiled and it will serve you well, Joel. Great advice. A lot of people coming into traditional knives from modern knives are not as familiar with taking care of carbon steel knives. This is a carbon steel bladed knife, so you do want to keep it oiled and not do what I did, which is leave it in your barn for 2 weeks while you wait for the test results. But I won't be doing that with this knife. So again, this is the Tidioute Cutlery number 25 Beerlow, and this is the BarGlow acrylic. So this is a glow-in-the-dark acrylic, and it is something that I'm always interested in, this type of handle cover, because I like things that are a little bit maybe gaudy. Some people might say gaudy. I like the sparkly acrylics that GEC has done and things like that. So I do appreciate some glow in the dark every now and then. And I want to note here on the unboxing that Joel has done a good job of making sure that this is nice and well packaged. These do come in wax paper from GEC, but there's not really any, protective packaging on the inside. Joel definitely added, a good bit of bubble wrap there, so you make sure that you get your knife in perfect condition. But these came with, there was a desiccant packet, definitely gonna pick that up, but these came with a cool little button. Definitely like the extras that GEC puts in, so you can see that there. And then let's get right to the knife. I'm excited about this one. So we've got the wax paper, and here it is. So I actually got to check one of these out at Great Eastern Cutlery, the factory, recently, and I was really impressed with how this BarGlow acrylic looks. it has a very different look. If you're familiar with other glow in the dark that GEC has done, it has a very different look in my opinion than previous versions. So previous versions have had a yellowish look sometimes, or an orangish look, and definitely green. This has kind of like a blue under color there. So you can see the blue on the edges, and then there's some blue throughout also. So it definitely is a little different than the other glow in the darks that they have done. So right off the bat here, the fitment of the covers to the bolsters is good. I don't see any issues there. I have to be honest, some of the Osage orange wood ones I believe that I saw, I didn't get one, but I saw them online, looked like there were some gaps. So happy to see that there's not on this BarGlow acrylic. And the centering is perfect. So hopefully you can see that well enough there. Centering's pretty much perfect. And another thing I love about these is that GEC got these tips to sit really nice and low. So I can tell that there's going to be no issue with a proud tip. And you can open this with this easy opener. And the action feels nice. So I'll show you it closing. Now it caught a little bit there, but that is because of this, bottle opener area. So you can see it didn't that time. So the action's good. It does sound different than your typical GEC because the kick is different. I'll give you a comparison in the full review section, but right off the bat, action feels good. Let's feel for any blade play. No blade play. Let's feel and look for some blade wrap. Don't feel any, and I don't see any. So I think that initially this is looking good. It is kind of catching a little bit there on close. It's not doing it anymore. So I don't know why that happened once or twice there, but I will definitely keep an eye on it as I carry and use this knife and give you, the full rundown in the second part of this video where I do a full review of the knife. So really looking forward to carrying this one, and I'll see you in the full review. All right, so let's get into the full review of this knife. Again, the Great Eastern Cutlery Tidioute number 25 Beerlow in BarGlow acrylic. So having gotten to check this knife out, carry, and use these Beerlows here, I think that they're really cool. Now, like I said, they are not something where I have a whole lot of a use for a bottle opener. I don't drink a whole lot, and a lot of, beer, even if you do drink, or pop, or whatever you drink, tends to have screw-off lids. So this is a bottle that I'm reusing here for this purpose, basically, but to show you that this does work very well, actually, for opening bottles. A lot of people have, claimed or suggested that, people are going to be hurting themselves with this knife because when you open a bottle, you're kind of moving the edge towards yourself. And even Bill Howard, when I talked to him, said that he had originally designed this to be a sheepfoot blade and decided instead to make it a spear point so that the tip was a little bit farther away, just to make it less likely for people to cut themselves. But I don't think it's a huge concern, to be honest. So you can see you can catch this, and it's going to open that really nice and easily. Again, this is a screw off lid, so don't come at me about that. I don't have a non-screw off lid to show it on. But I think that this is going to work really well as a cap lifter. If you have a use, frequent use for a cap lifter, I think that this will work fine. And if you are at the point where you have little enough motor control that you are likely to injure yourself using it, maybe you shouldn't be opening another bottle. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do. Just saying, I think that it's not really that difficult not to cut yourself when using this, and it does work well. So I think that it's a cool idea. These are a knife that or a blade type that has been done before. So there's an old George Schrade knife that has the same type blade. So I actually grabbed one off of eBay, and so here it is. This one's not in perfect condition, but you can see that it has a very similar blade. Now, the George Strait's blade is a little longer. Certainly the actual blade part is a little longer, whereas the bottle opener part is a little shorter. I do think that this cap lifter probably works better than this one. You know, I haven't put them to extensive use, but I think you get a more useful cap lifter on the Great Eastern Cutlery, the modern version, and you get a little bit less blade, whereas a little bit more blade on the George Strait. I also just want to mention, while again the Schrade is a little bigger, it has a very similar design. You can see it also has that easy open there. But I think that this is a practical knife. Some people have suggested that it's just a novelty, and while it does have the novelty factor, I do think that it's also a practical knife. And I think that that goes right in line with what GEC knives are in general. You know, are you buying a GEC because you purely 100% only want a utility knife, a knife that you're going to use purely because you need a knife? No, that's not why you buy a GEC. I think, you know, search your true feelings. It really isn't. You buy a GEC knife because you appreciate the craftsmanship, you appreciate the historicity, and you appreciate that they are unique and they are cool. So, you know, I think you get a fine amount of utility while also getting that uniqueness, that history, all of that good stuff that is really, you know, at least in my opinion, why we buy Great Eastern Cutlery knives. And then, of course, it is also super well made. So in the unboxing, I mentioned that it is perfectly centered. That is certainly remains true. I did not mention the back spring, but there are no gaps on this back spring. It is well fitted. You can see that there. As for the flushness, it is flush at closed. It is pretty much flush, maybe slightly, and I mean just a hair low at half stop, and then pretty much flush at full open. If you really want to nitpick, like less than a millimeter high, but pretty much completely flush. You know, still no blade play, no blade wrap, and I haven't had that issue of it, you know, not closing the whole way more. It seems to, you know, have broken in nicely. I think like any of these Great Eastern Cutleries, if you put, you know, just a drop of mineral oil or even WD-40, which is actually what Bill suggested to me. But mineral oil if you want it to be food safe, WD-40 if you're not concerned about food safe, probably should be with the cap lifter. It's, you know, going to be nice and smooth. It does still sound a little different than a typical GEC, a typical, you know, slip joint. So that's because of this kind of, you know, difference in the kick versus a normal. So I'm gonna, you know, let you hear this again. And you can see it kind of, it's just kicking, you know, kind of does that a little bit every now and then. I think that it's when I push on the back. I'm really not sure, but it doesn't seem to happen just closing it the way I like actually close a slip joint. Like this, or a slip joint of this size anyway. But let me you know, give you that sound again. Versus here's a 15, and then a 14. And so I don't know exactly what to call it, but there's a little bit, I don't know, more of a ting and less of a thud. This has a little bit more of a thud, and the typical GEC slip joint has more of a ting. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's the way I would describe it. So very well made. I really do like the quality of these. Like I said, I did see some of the Osage, at least pictures of them, that seem to have some gaps between the covers and the bolsters, but this one doesn't at all. I looked at it up close, and it is all good around there. So well fitted. The pins are nice. I did have a Unicorn Ivory Acrylic 25 that had, you know, some issues with the pins and cracks and things like that. So, you know, nice to see that these don't have that. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is the glow in the dark. So we're going to see how this goes. What I'm going to do is I am going to use my trusty MSR D4 V2, And this is going to be kind of bright, but I'm going to cover it as much as I can and give this a little bit of light. So just a couple seconds here of light. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my filming light off and give you a look at the glow. So it definitely glows nicely. Don't have a curtain that can make it fully dark, but there's that glow. So again, giving you some light, giving it some light, and then there is that glow. And of course, my camera desperately wants to adjust for the light and make it so you can't see the glow, but it glows nice and brightly. I'm happy with the glow. I think if you're familiar with, modern glow-in-the-dark handles like the others that GEC has done, it glows well. It's not going to glow all night, but if you, shine a really bright flashlight like that on this, or, have it out in the day, it'll have some glow to it. I think the glow is mostly novelty. Of course, it's not going to make it so that you can find it more easily most of the time, because, how often are you looking for your knife in the dark? I guess maybe if you're, I don't know, at a party and using it for the cap lifter more than for the blade, hopefully. But it definitely is fun. I think that that's the main thing with glow in the dark, is that it's a very fun handle material, and I do appreciate the funness. So overall, I think these are really cool. I'm happy that I was able to get one or two of them. And I hope you were able to get one if you wanted one. If you weren't able to, I would definitely reach out to Joel at Boss Steel Blades, on Instagram or through email. I know that he's really active, so I'm sure he'll get back to you quickly. And let him know that you're interested in these GEC knives. Unfortunately, they're super limited. They're very hard to get. I think that they're difficult to get even for the dealers. But it doesn't hurt to let them know, and also check out what else is available on Boss Steel Blades, because there are other great knives like the Anza that I use to open this knife up. So thanks to Joel for sending this knife for review, and I hope you've enjoyed this first of the Boss Steel Blade exclusive Knife Thoughts reviews. If you have, make sure you subscribe to Boss Steel Blades channel here. Click the bell and select all so you know when there's new videos. Also subscribe to Knife Thoughts, same deal. Make sure you turn your notifications on and select the bell so that you get notified. Also, check out my other social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.